Hi, and welcome to the Desire and Dharma series. My name is Yael Shai, and today I am here with my dear friend and an amazing Buddhist meditation teacher, Adrianna Limbach. She's the author of the incredible book Tea and Cake with Demons, and one of the co-authors of a brilliant Substack called The Laundry. The One of the posts of which is why I asked her to be here today. Adrianna, I wonder if you can kind of start us off with how you started this post off that really got my attention.
Yeah. Thank you, Gail. It's so good to be here with you. It's really great to see you and talk to you. And I'm so glad that my little Substack post inspired you to reach out. So we write the Substack, my husband, Lodro Rensler, and I write the Substack that's about meditation and specifically Buddhist meditation in everyday life, of how we are sort of working with the practice and working with the teachings in our daily life. And I personally, uh, much like you, it sounds like, think about desire a lot. And particularly right now, because it feels like desire is sort of in the zeitgeist of television, of writing. I really loved All Fours by Miranda July, which is a book about desire, particularly desire as a woman in her 40s. Also, heated
Life changing.
rivalry, life changing. Heated rivalry, which has been just kind of a phenomenon. And where the post begins is watching the trailer for the new Wuthering Heights film by Emerald Fennell, and how
Steamy.
it is so hot. It's so hot. It's so hot. I watched the trailer and I immediately texted a handful of girlfriends. It's like, have you seen? Like, I was like, like clutching my pearls in the kitchen. Um, and they wrote back and were all like, oh my gosh, yes, this is, I mean, like it does something to the body physically, which is beyond logic. Which I think is so interesting about desire is that oftentimes there's nothing rational about it. Like it bypasses our cognitive centers. It's just a response of the body. And so the entire post was sort of reconciling desire as this really delicious experience that's had physically in the body, with all of the Buddhist teachings on desire, which are oftentimes warnings that
Warnings.
desire, yes, that
Mm,
desire itself is the root of suffering.
right.
Desire is why we perpetuate our own dissatisfaction, our own discomfort, our own suffering, comes from desire. And there are a number of different teachings, one of which I quote in the Substack, that explicitly say that in order to find liberation, in order to find freedom in our minds, in this world, that we have to do away with desire, which to me has always felt a little incongruous to my lived experience because desire is so, it's so good. Desire is so good.
So fun. It's so delightful. And yet, like you said, like if those of us who've been in this world for a while, in the Buddhist world, in the meditation world, so much emphasis on cutting it off, rooting it out, language like the antidote to desire, kind of like let's carve it out of the body. And I was in preparation for our talk, I was just kind of Googling as I do, um, is does Buddhism sex positive? Is there any like response to sexiness within Buddhism or Buddhist texts? And there are so many fora. I don't know,
Fora,
forum,
fora,
fora, um,
fora.
that that are like I think it sounds like men being like, I can't stop um, desiring, I can't stop doing this. And other, what it sounds like, men giving them this advice like, okay, all you have to do is picture a decomposing corpse.
Ah,
And that will help you to like get rid of the desire. Or somebody gives the advice like, instead of like delighting in your food and the desire for food, like mash all the food together and just eat it at the same time so that your body learns to not reach for this one thing. Your face says it all, Adriana. It's like so depressing to me. So what do you make of this like vastly different experience that we're talking about where it's so exciting to get turned on by these media and then these messages about kind of getting rid of it?
hmm yeah. Oh, that makes me so sad. Like working so hard to like beige out your existence.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
why? We are really, we are here for such a brief time on this planet. Like
Yeah.
this is it's such a miracle. The fact that we are able to experience pleasure, comfort, beauty, desire
Mm,
in this body for the very brief time that we have it.
yeah.
Why would we ever want to deny ourselves that?
Mm,
So it makes me think of when I was just kind of like a little baby Buddhist practitioner back in my 20s, um, and really taking every single teaching that I read and that I heard to heart, and feeling very sort of victorious um, in talking to one of my teachers about desire and saying, I think rooting out desire is easy for me because I am particularly adept at not wanting what I don't have.
mm.
And I remember her face kind of like falling a little bit. And have you ever had one of these conversations where you're like recalling something from your childhood? And it's like a funny family story, and the person across from you is like, "Oh, sweetie, I think that's actually trauma."
Yes.
Like I don't know if it's that funny, even though you remember it that way. That's like a really great adaptive mechanism that you remember it as like this funny thing. But and I just remember the expression on her face of like, oh, that means that you really did not receive something crucial
Mm,
actually in your upbringing. The fact that you have taught yourself not to want the things that you don't have.
mm.
I need for nothing, right? I want for nothing. Um, and I think for me that really shifted my whole exploration of desire. Of is it actually that healthy to not want for anything, to really sort of make that feeling of wanting, desire, the enemy, the thing to be rooted out. And I think I said this to you before we hit the record button. I mean, I'm a firm believer that desire itself, because it does play such a large role in the Buddhist canon and the
Mm.
way that we talk about suffering as a part of the human experience, which is chapter 1, First Noble Truth, the causes of suffering, why we perpetuate our own dissatisfaction, chapter 2, Second Noble Truth, and how to move towards enlightenment or liberation or the cessation of suffering, which is essentially the rest of Buddhism. Desire plays such a huge role in that conversation that I honestly think that just becoming a student of our own desire could be an entire path of practice.
Mm.
Understanding our desire rather than trying to sort of toss it into the garbage bin before we even understand how it functions for us. To say,
Yes.
oh, that's a bad thing. That is the enemy to liberation, to happiness. So let me just, anytime I get like a little taste of it, let me just chuck it out. Let me treat it
Mm.
like it's a bad thing before we even understand how it operates, how it functions. And I really think that just being a student of our own desire is fascinating. Like that itself
Y-
could be an entire path of practice.
yes, I think it's I'm kind of playing around with just that, with like, well, what is this? Is there multiple? What I loved in your piece that you do is you kind of go through the different words we have for desire and where you feel them in the body. So, is yearning a little different than longing, a little different than grasping, or, you know, the word desire? They're all different kinds of shades. And they have different bodily experiences, many of them pleasurable,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some of them not so pleasurable, maybe the ones that make us feel constricted or that get too overhooked with the object. That's where it seems like we get it, we take a turn into the
Yeah.
suffering.
Yes. Yes. Totally. Totally. I've experienced the exact same thing. It seems like desire in itself, if we are working hypothetically with the theory that every human being, just by virtue of being a person on this planet, possesses basic goodness, right? This sort of this Buddhist idea that we are inherently whole and complete and enough in a way that cannot be added to through our successes and it cannot be subtracted from through our losses.
Mm,
It is just inherent to who we are. There's a basic okayness, there's a basic enoughness that is our birthright. It's just the baseline of who we all are. There's a lot of confusion that gets layered on top of that.
yes.
But fundamentally we are basically whole, complete, enough, basically good. That desire, if it is an automatic response in the body, unchosen, illogical, that too might be an expression of basic goodness. And I've noticed for myself, and I wonder if you've noticed this as well, that before desire sort of blossoms into its full expression, it begins as sort of an appreciation, right?
Mm,
It's this being charmed by the world. It's this magnetic pull towards what we find beautiful or interesting. And there's this kind of like wanting that arises from that.
mm,
This wanting to be close to it, whatever it is. And that gets twisted so quickly, like really in a beat before we can even catch it, especially if we're not sort of practiced at catching it,
mm.
into grasping. Like it becomes very closed off, right? Grasping, clinging, compulsion,
Yeah.
fixation. Um, when it becomes sort of saddled with the expectation that our desire will be met, or that we will get what we want, or that we have to possess or acquire what we find beautiful, what we find
Mm,
interesting.
mm,
Um, and so I think that there is something to the practice of meditation and understanding desire, how it functions for us, what we want. What do you want? What do you want? And what do you imagine having that is going to do for you?
mm.
And being able to slow that down through meditation, right? Frame by frame, so that we can see this kind of like eruption desire that happens in the body and then in the mind, and maybe even catch it before that sort of expectation gets layered on top, before it hardens into compulsion, fixation, clinging.
Yes, I love that. It's like it's finding. I had a teacher this weekend who said the that in the Four Noble Truths, the grasping is born from somewhere. It is born from the womb of in his teaching delusion, which
Hmm.
is one way to look at it. It's born from the womb of delusion that I am a person and that is a thing over there and we are not connected. But I love you're putting something else forward. You're saying it's born from the womb actually of appreciation, delight, beauty. So there could be a couple of wombs that
Mm,
are birthing this desire, which I think is a much more beautiful kind of take on it. And I sometimes think that our our compulsion or grasping that rises up to own it, consummate it, have it, is actually a discomfort with feeling that uh, those initial feelings. It's actually a
mm,
desire to end the
mm,
desire feeling, to like get rid of it, because it's very uncomfortable and very vulnerable to like just
mhm,
sit with the wanting.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Thoughts?
that is so interesting. Yeah, that there would be sort of this impulse to sort of like, "Eeh," like
Yeah.
catch it, crush it,
Yeah.
get
Or
it.
like, yeah, I'm imagining if it's like something that you want, just like, oh, let's like get rid of this. It's
Uh-huh.
too, vulnerable. But if we
Right.
can learn to be with it
Mhm.
without needing to end it or own it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, just from my own experience. I'm thinking of heated rivalry. I don't know if you have partaken in this cultural phenomenon.
I have.
It's
It
so
is
funny. It's so
incredible.
funny how it has like swept all of our
Yeah.
imagination. Watching the build of desire. How, to your point, there's so much tension involved in desire,
Yes.
that there's this tension that lives in the gap between where we are and what we want.
Yes.
And that tension, I think, can be incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, I don't know about you, but historically I have related to all tension as being uncomfortable. That tension is something that I need to like break or release or ease out of.
Yeah.
I think of just being a yoga practitioner and Pilates practitioner, how I've sort of had to learn in my own body the difference between generative tension, tension that's actually it's generating something useful, right? It's sort of like a building tension towards something that's useful, and degenerative tension, tension that is actually harmful. That
Mm.
is the sort of tension that it's helpful to ease out of, or back away from, or soften into. Um, and I just think of the tension that lives in desire. That desire itself is a
That's like the sexy part. So we need that to, if like you're a student of rom-coms or steamy romances, as I am, if they don't have enough of that, you got a problem.
Mhm.
And but you have to kind of learn to tolerate it and to be with it and to just like let it power you without necessarily the thing we get in all the rom-coms, which is like
Mm.
the and done and
Mhm.
consummate.
Yes, yes, yes. And it does sort of, going back to the Substack piece, which is why you called me to be here with you. Thank you. The central question that I was playing with is, can wanting be enough?
Yes.
Can the feeling of wanting, that physical sensation in the body of wanting, whatever we want, can that be enough? And I think of how, I mean, the Buddha himself said that desire is the root of all action. Any action that we take in the world is because we want something, right? Like we wouldn't even start meditating unless there was a wanting, there's a desire for something.
Yeah.
Um, which again brings me back to the point that we desire could be a whole path of practice. We could just study our own wanting, what we want and what we imagine that will do for us, because that is driving all of the action that we take. And I think about even something like um, social action or social movement, social justice towards building a better world and a more kind of sane, just, compassionate world, that too is driven by desire, right? And
Yes.
there is a tension there. There's a tension between the reality that we're living in right now and what we're seeing every single day playing out across our screens. And this sort of, I don't know, ideal of what we know could be possible, the sort
Yeah.
of world that we could create. Um, and I think a lot, and I'm just speaking for myself here, like a lot of social action burnout can happen when that tension just becomes too uncomfortable. Like we're not seeing the results fast enough, or
Yes.
our actions are not getting the expected results, right? And
Mm.
so I think that, from a desire standpoint, there is something about just being in that tension of desire, and can feeling the desire itself and how motivating that desire can potentially be.
Yeah.
Can that be enough? Can we learn to appreciate the feeling of wanting to the extent that we don't get disheartened when we're not seeing the results of our efforts as quickly as we want them to, right?
Yeah.
Um, can we be in the feeling of like the desire, the wanting, the moment right before the bite of chocolate cake, knowing that that in some ways is so much tastier
Mm.
than the cake will ever be. Like that,
Yeah.
that tension, that's the sweet spot. It isn't the release
Mm.
of that
Mm.
tension in the way that we think it is. It isn't our desire being fulfilled. It isn't the meeting of the satisfaction. Can we just be in that tension without making it a problem necessarily? And I would
Yes.
even go a step further, like not only not making it a problem, but like really enjoying that is, right? It's full of
Yes.
potential. It's full of potential.
Yes. Esther Perel says the erotic is the antidote of death.
Hmm.
It is just kind of raw aliveness when
Mm-hmm.
we can kind of let that be percolating, not knowing if we'll ever have it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, this is so fun. So, even though we could keep talking, what I wonder if you can kind of put some of what we're talking about and that you wrote about into a little practice that people can do to feel that, to be and dwell in that deliciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, One of my favorite practices is anytime that I find myself wanting anything, a beautiful bouquet of flowers that I see at the farmer's market, um, the panna cotta that was just delivered to the table next to me, um, the attractive person walking down the street, to stop and feel to feel that hum of appreciation in my body.
Mm.
Like, can I feel that magnetic pull of being charmed by what I see and the desire to be close to it? And I just feel that in my body without needing to do anything with the feeling, without needing to figure it out. We don't need to analyze it into a pulp, without needing to fix it, make it a project, something that needs to be solved. Or in the case of the flowers, well, let me just buy the flowers so then I have them. And I just like smell the food, see the flowers, notice the person. Like anything that we feel that sense of like, ooh, yes, to feel the yes in the body. Um, and then another, maybe like slightly more intellectual, less embodied practice that I find really helpful. Because again, I think this is sort of the beginning of understanding ourselves in any real way is I am continually asking myself, and I think that these are such simple questions and they're so useful, continually asking myself, what do I want? What do I want? And oftentimes it isn't even necessarily intellectual, right? Like it is in some ways the wisdom of the body.
Mm,
We want what we want. And if we've ever tried to talk ourselves out of it, we know like there's oftentimes nothing rational. We just want it. And
mm,
that's okay. Like there's a lot of information in that can be incredibly instructional. What do I want? And then the follow-up question, what do I imagine having that will do for me?
mm,
What do I imagine having that will do for me? What will that then allow me to access? Or what will that then allow me to experience?
mm.
Because that too can be incredibly informative.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Adriana, for this whole conversation, for that beautiful practice, for all that you are and do in the world. And people should all subscribe to the Substack and should find you if they're interested in more coaching. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is such a joy to talk to you, especially about this delicious subject. And I can't wait because I know that this is something you think about a lot. I can't wait to turn the tables and talk to you about desire. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here.